Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Legacy Podcast, episode 10. Today I'm joined with Necrush again, and we are discussing a little bit of guild systems, or what guild you should join, taking into account that we are around 30 days until official Classic launch. We're also discussing a couple of loot systems. We thought that might be interesting for you, taking into account the upcoming launch. You might want to get ready and know which kind of guild system to join. Loot systems are a topic, and we're also talking a little bit about roles. Should you play a healer, a tank, a DPS, which makes most sense for you. Also taking into consideration how much time you can actually spend on the game. So yeah, let's jump into the intro and enjoy. Yeah, welcome everybody again. I'm here again with Necrush, like every time. Hello. And I just came from the door. The mail arrived, as you can see, right here. It's large. And what it is, you will see soon. I'll tell you because I'll still make a video about it, but still, it's basically the ultra-wide monitor I've always wanted for a long time, and it was sponsored by a guy on the stream actually, and he just dropped big bugs, and here it is. So big shout out again to Zelandors. He basically made it possible, and a couple of new fans. We're slowly upgrading all of our computer stuff here, and well, because of the heat here in Europe at the moment, the heat wave everywhere in Europe, we got two more side fans. We got one for the top and one big one for the side, so that's pretty neat. And then of course this ultra wide 144 Hz 34 inch IPS curved monitor. That's pretty awesome. I needed to have this shout out on because it's absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for that. So the next one will have like this huge screen in front of us. What screen do you have, Necrush?
I have one of the oldest 24-inch monitors that exist. I bought it the second generation 24-inch monitors from Bank. So it's really fucking old, and I also have some Samsung. It looks really weird. It's like one of those space age designy kind of monitors. But yeah, I'm looking to get some new monitors as well. I'm kind of hesitant about 144 Hz or even higher monitors, because I heard like once you go for these monitors, you can't go back. So because it's so good. I'm kind of hesitant about that, but eventually I will.
Well, it's certainly great, yeah, definitely. But I mean, old monitors don't really have to be that bad, We have, I still have my 4x3 right here on the side for the Twitch chat, right? That's my chat monitor, so it's still working, and I'm gonna use it for the chat because it's so rectangular, It's perfect for just a chat window. So this ultra huge, large fucker here goes into the center next, and then my other really cool 144 Hz goes probably either to left or right. I tend to look more towards the left, I think, for stuff. So I'm not sure yet. And then I'll have a Twitch chat monitor. So it's pretty decent.
I'm looking to get a third one at least. Once I expand the desk when I move. Yeah, I had two for a very long time, but I would really like a third. It sort of annoys my OCD a bit that I only have two.
The OCD? That?
My obsessive compulsive disorder, when something is misaligned. There's two, not three,
Yeah. Not one, but two. I agree. 3 monitors is definitely biz. So you can have Discord open, a game, and a browser. you know,
Yeah.
Pornhub or so. Pretty good. 27th of July. That means 30 more days until the big day. Until the day of the days, the D-Day, the
Day of Reckoning.
The Day of Reckoning, indeed. We wanted to talk about the plans today a little bit, and you know what we're planning to do. We want to hear from you what you're doing, and I thought maybe we could, you know, read out some plans, because we have a lot of different kinds of players that watch this show and this podcast. I mean, we're small and everything, but we have a lot of different kind of you know, viewers, and so we'll go into that. We're going to talk about guilds, you know, maybe a couple of tips what you could play and join, you know, what kind of guild to join, so that you aren't in a position where you are wasting your time, and also what role you could play. I thought that might be interesting, because you can do a lot of, let's say there are a lot of suboptimal roles you can play if you're, let's say you don't have a lot of time. We'll go into that. By the way, the sound should be much better now. I mean, it looks, you can't really see, you will never know if I really talk here, because you can't see my mouth, but like this, it's like, it should be much better than the last time. I have some, and you know what I need? I'm getting a new camera stand so that I can take it off and put it on, and it doesn't change position, like a memory thing. And because I want to show you some things sometimes, but if I move this thing now, it's a pain in the ass to reposition. So I'm getting that, and it costs only 25 bucks. Because I have soundproof now here. I'm gonna, all my screws and everything came, so I can put it in the corner where all the frequencies burst and make everything sound like shit. And I positioned the mic now here with the proper pop filters, and this should sound much better, not so roomy anymore and stupid. And yeah, so the key, if you want to record something, right, just a really quick one, if you want to always sound slick, is to have a low gain on your mic and put it close and speak in front of it, and also make sure you know how your mic that you have is supposed to be spoken into. A lot of people have this Blue Yeti, and I did it for a while too, because I thought, okay, it should be the same, but I spoke into it from here, and you should speak into it from the side, you know, because it's a podcast microphone. You speak into it from this side and not from the top. But that was just a small, quick info, so you need to know how your microphone works. Anyway, so what about you? What are you on vacation for the release, or are you working normally? What's going on? Let's talk about the release first, our plans, and what's going on.
Yeah, so I have summer vacation from my studies, but I just started a new job, which I can't really tell you about because it's, you know, secret services stuff.
Ooh.
But yeah, I'm a spy.
Shady stuff. Fits perfectly. Be an officer in our guild, you know.
And a warlock, yeah.
Warlock officer in our guild. Shady stuff IRL. It's good.
This is pretty cool actually, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. The unfortunate thing is that they call me into work at the most opportune moments, but it's really fun. Something I really enjoy doing.
Okay, but you won't have to leave at raid time. That's all that I care for, you know.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Fix it for classic.
Except if you invade.
Yeah, yeah, we also have some secret stuff we found out we can't tell you about, but you know.
Yes.
That's always mean, right? If we say, yeah, it's if that works on classic, it's game breaking actually. Yeah. Now we teased it. It involves warlock. I can't say more.
Indeed.
Yeah. So the plans for classic. Maybe we can start out with. I mean, we're obviously in one guild, but you said we didn't have a real meeting yet. What our plans are with the guild. But most people in the officer squad usually are like built in, or we all have this general idea. So for our guild, as I said, we've been playing since Nostalrius, and like that's when kind of the guild formed in one shape or another. It's the same community in, you know, in parts, and some people came back, whatever. So we've been going together since Nostalrius, and we will all move over together to EU English servers. And I mean, although I'm German, I'm not gonna be playing on the German servers, but I think most people know that already. But it's usually a Twitch question in chat, so yeah, I'm gonna be on English servers, EU. What are you gonna play? What class? Only
I'm
Warlock?
going back to the Warlock, yeah. But I'm very unsure about the alt, because I sort of want a Recordin whose only objective is to sort of kill people that annoy me by wreck bombing them. But I'm not sure how well that works on Classic. Like I saw Esfand doing a lot of testing on it, and you can do it, you know, with the /sit thing, where you like sit and you stand up.
I thought that doesn't work anymore.
It does work, because apparently it works because of the spell batching thing, that the server registers you as being crit because you sit down, but it like goes to your client, or it works somehow like this, when you're standing up. So the client or the server thinks that you got crit when you were standing up, so it counts as a wreck, something like that.
But then you need to spam a macro for it, right?
Yes, you need to do something silly with it. It's easier to do on these private servers. It was easier to do during vanilla, but it should somehow work on Classic. But it's it's not easy to do. But it would be pretty interesting to have. Otherwise, Druid, definitely Druid. I would love to really go into healing with a Druid as an alt, or a Feral, and PvP as a Feral would be fun.
Same for me. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely have a Druid alt. So my plan is obviously be main tank again, Prot Warrior, main tank.
Thank God.
Yeah, yeah, fuck me. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I will have a Red Pally alt for Gathering, and Druid, Resto Druid healer. That's my plan. And I mean, with Druid you can try out a lot of things that are a lot of fun. You can be a little bit of Moonkin or Feral, or you can be a Moonglow Druid and you know, Deep Resto or Regrowth Spec. There's a lot of options. It's a lot of fun to heal with it, and it's quite underrated. So if you're becoming a really good Druid healer, that's rare. No, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, topping meters kind of good. I mean, that's rare. So it's a cool challenge.
Yeah, like remember Cowfoot? He was
Cowfoot,
the first Druid I ever saw who even came close to, you know, being at the top of the healing meter.
That's a regrowth spec. It's very mana intense, and you need to spam a lot of mana pots and dark runes. But that's one of the biggest heal throughput specs. I mean, Deep Resto comes close actually, but yeah.
But also just the raw HPS you can put out as a Resto Druid is unmatched by anyone except for prayer healing. And that's not single target.
Really bursty too.
Single target regrowth spam. And also because healing touch is a 3.5 second cast, which means it gets the full coefficient from plus heal.
Dude,
while greater heal only is 3 second. So it actually only gets 85% or so from your plus heal. So the healing touch will always heal more than a greater heal. And that's pretty powerful.
The max rank one is really fucking strong. I think it's the biggest heal in the game.
Yeah, it'll crit for like 6k or so. It's just insane.
So obviously, main tank Prot again, then the Red Pally for Gathering. I'm still debating if I should, for the Gathering, because Red Pally, because in World PvP they're just monsters, really. If you have been playing it for a while, I mean, you probably all stumbled upon these weird red dudes that, you know, didn't really do anything in World PvP and just died. I get that, but for example, with Reckoning, I'm also gonna rank with that red, so might be PvP spec for a long time, Reckoning Red. But it's mainly for gathering and for, just one-shotting people a little bit. And so I'm debating herbs and mining or herbs and skinning. The skinning, not all, at the start there's gonna be a lot of people that skin, but later I think there's gonna be way less, and you can get Devil Source stuff, which I haven't really done before. And mining, herbing, you always have to switch between the tracking. Although if Gatherer works, you have all nodes on the map, so you don't really need the tracking. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn. What would you say?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Like you can also just keep one of the professions as a pure cooldown thing, like alchemy or whatever.
Yeah, but so maybe the grand plan, right? This is something I would always recommend to somebody who knows he's going to play a lot anyway. So the Resto Druid is a healer, so he's going to be standing mostly in towns or out in action, right? In a dungeon, town or dungeon, or battleground. So he will have alchemy and leatherworking. Alchemy to make my own potions and have transmute cooldowns, and leatherworking actually has the cured rugged hide cooldown, which is massive gold.
50 gold at the moment.
And Devil Sore, and other recipes you can make, and Oni Scale Cloak. I want to be able to make that too. So the healer in the city is going to be the crafter, to which I send my stuff. And he's not really, a healer and together in the open world is, not so good.
If you have both though, just, I mean, the lazy way is to just put herb tracking on and just look for mines, the veins. You can see them pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. What I did. It's also good, but then again, skinning is not very common, except for levelers. But like in high level content, it's pretty rare to have a skinner.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I'm going out together, I like herbing. I don't really like the mining. So I might just skip that.
The problem is also, like, if you're skinning, at least like skinning in raids, most of your skinning materials will just go to the guild bank anyways. But that's, but it's my ult, so because I don't mind. I mean, I'm guild leader, so good. But if you go around burning steps and you just go for herbs as normal, you can skin in your rotation or whatever. You go around the zone. You can just kill any dragons you see. The big dragons, you should be able to solo them as a paladin.
Yeah, or as I said, the Devil Source. It's something I want to...
Oh yeah, that too. Because the dragons, they drop the black dragon scales, and those are used for many recipes, I'm fairly sure. They could probably fetch some gold at least. But the big ones are, of course, Devil Source, Onyxia herself. I know, does Nefaria drop anything from skinning?
I think he also drops some sort of scale, but nothing too crazy. And I mean, Oni and the beasts and Ubers and all these things. I don't know. I just think it's more. I mean, I don't want to be running around mining and herbing for some reason. I don't know why. It just seems more convenient to just be have all the skinning stuff and run around, get all the herbs.
Yeah.
Although I could see both, but yeah, that's the idea, and the main is going to be Armor Smith, because we need an Armor Smith early, and the Prot Warrior is going to be the main. It's 60 quick.
Right.
Nicholas Linner is attaching the poop sock. Thanks. And the second one is going to be enchanting, so obviously we want the raid recipes to be channeled onto the person that's usually there. And then
and to someone who won't drop the enchanting profession after getting raid mats. That's pretty stupid.
Just doesn't quit. All these things. And then the guild bank is supposed to be a mage, level 50, so you can make all portals. can go anywhere, can make water. We might have to level it to 60. And
You're gonna need the 50, you might as well get to 60.
Yeah, might as well. And so we have a guild bank that can make good water, right? Is mobile, can go to any town. And it's gonna be Axesmith to make the Nightfall, because that one comes out later. So we have time to get the guild bank up. Yeah, otherwise I would be Axesmith. But yeah. That's my plans. So 4 characters need to be pushed to 60. Or at least the druid can be 35, I believe, for a long time. So it's not a big deal. But red.
What is the level you need for the tuxedo set? I think it's
tailoring?
35. Yeah, the tailoring set. There's a tuxedo set from tailoring, and there's one from the Easter eggs or whatever.
Yeah, true.
And the Easter eggs, they're level 1. But the tuxedo, I think it's 35 or 40 or something like that.
Yeah, we definitely need a tuxedo, and then, yeah, very important. So yeah, that's character-wise. So you're only gonna be Warlock or and the Pally alt? That's it? It's good enough. Two characters.
I would like to have a tank at some point. I would like to try tanking, but you know, you can't really do that as an alt, because tanks, you sort of have to invest quite a lot into them to be good tanks.
I mean, we want to... That leads into the next point, really. I mean, maybe we plan on having the alt rates, or not alt rates, but the second squad. Because we have a lot of people that are coming with, that are in the kind of like a hardcore approach type thing. And we also, it's around like 60 or so, and then we also have a lot of people that are looking for more of a casual approach. We know them and everything, and they said they don't want to go too hardcore, so they wanted to. So we're thinking about making a day where we have the second squad go in a more casual approach. So the mains take their alts, carry a bit, and then you have like the casual players that and you do the kind of easy content to gear up your alts, which should be easy because you have very geared alts and geared mains that are just not willing to bring flask to every raid. So, or which won't be able.
And that's not about for horsemen you need 6 tanks.
What I was gonna say, you could have a tank alt for that raid, which is always needed.
Some people do that, and because it's a chest, you can actually sell the loot from 4 horsemen, I'm fairly sure.
Oh shit, you mean that? Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if that raid's gonna get to 4 horsemen.
No, but like if you make an alt for warrior or whatever, and you sort of gear that up in like tier 2 tanking gear. Yeah. Once we come to 4 horsemen, you can just drop your main for your tank alt if that's needed.
If that's needed, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think it's always good to have a useful alt if you are a DPS class, to have like a tanking or healing rule as your alt, because that way you can switch roles, which is what we're getting into later as well. But yeah, so like
people did that before, right? Because if there was DPS or whatever, and we were in Black Lair and we just weren't getting anywhere, people would jump on their healer alts. Yeah, and then it would be
really great. Make a dwarf priest as your ult if you're a DPS. It's dwarf. Yeah. So for me,
dwarf shadow priest could be really fun actually, just as PvP.
Yeah, of course. It's stone form, and you're useful for the raid anyway. And man.
Yeah.
You gotta switch out of shadow form though, to Fear Ward, but who cares?
Oh, do you have to?
I think so, yeah. But it doesn't matter, you Fear Ward before the raid and it's another Fear Ward for the raid. So, for the boss, I mean. So Prot Warrior and then a Gather alt and a Healing alt, so I'm like tank and healer. And I also have a DPS, so I have all roles and all my professions are perfectly matched. A gatherer, a crafter, and 1 guild enchanter and smith for the Lionheart helms and enchanting recipes. I think it's pretty cool. So I mean, talking about roles, I mean, first let's say finish the guild thing about us.
Yeah.
We would like to hear from you what your plans are, and maybe we can. I mean, maybe you're even interested in coming with us. We don't know. But we are going to be, as I said, playing on EU English servers. Which one it is, you're gonna find out on our Discord server. So if you aren't on there yet and you're still looking for a community to go with, join our Discord server, and there's an application channel. You can put it in there. And we will be a hardcore guild. And why we're saying hardcore, we're going to talk about that too, and what the difference is to other things. So hardcore guild with 3 raid days. It's going to be Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and it's going to be around 18 Berlin time, Paris time. So if you're interested in that, join the Discord server and drop something in the application channel, or send us a direct message. That works too. We're still recruiting everything. I think. Maybe even a tank, not sure. Maybe even 1 tank. Yeah, I wouldn't exclude anything just yet, you know. So that's where we're gonna go and our plans, and yeah. What do you think? What do you think of that? Is that gonna be a good decision to go hardcore?
Oh yeah. Like. When you say hardcore, what that means to me is that people are focused and attentive in the raid.
Not
doesn't necessarily mean that everybody, like every melee, should go for rank 14 weapons.
No.
That's not really what I think of hardcore in that sense. So
exactly.
Yeah, like I remember the raids for like Unnost and Elysium before Lightbringer. They were so good because, you know, we were talking so much shit because everybody knew what to do. Like you didn't have to stop at every trash pull, assign all the tanks, all the healers. Everybody just knew what to do. You just threw some marks up and you just pulled. That's how I want to raid.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, what you're saying is that's a good transition into the whole guild discussion. Which guild should you join, kind of type of thing, and what should you be looking for? Because what we did in the past, I mean, these were private realms, so it was a little bit a different thing, and nobody really wanted to spend too much time on it. We did anyway, right? But we didn't want to have like 4 raid days or anything, or we didn't want to call ourselves, you know, hardcore. We always said semi-hardcore, but the problem that we realize now is, and that we think is going to be a problem for official, is once you advertise semi-hardcore, it kind of sounds cool because you think, okay, that means you want to be, you know, a hardcore approach in the raids, you know, be focused on in the raids and do the raids efficiently, but not completely waste your life, right? And you want to have your consumables, the consumables that make sense. You don't need to get the, you know, spend 3 hours for 10 more damage, but get the things that make sense. In reality, though, you do attract a lot of these players then, but you also attract people that think they are that, but in reality they are casual. And that's a problem, and that becomes a problem. Because you know what I'm talking about, right? This it's kind of a notion, and that's absolutely fine. If you look, like, first things first, we don't judge how you want to play the game at all. Like, if you want to be more a casual approach or you don't have much time, that's fine, and that's how it should be. Like, you shouldn't if you don't have the time, you have a lot of work to do, or kids, you know, anything, then do that by all means. But for some people, they don't really see it necessary to enchant all of their gear every time. And there are people that get a new item and they have it enchanted in raid. That is the difference. And for other people, or they don't attune themselves to raids for 3 weeks because, yeah, well, they didn't find time, right? And some others get their ult to 60 and it's attuned within an hour to all raids, kind of. You know, exaggerating a little bit. So semi-hardcore sounds good in theory, but what you really attract from our experience is a mix of people, and that leads to conflict because you have a lot of people that want to raid a little bit more hardcore, and you have like a spectrum of people more on the right hardcore or more on the left casual, and if it's too mixed, then you will lose people on one end or the other. And so we're saying, let's make no more half measures. We're going to be hardcore 3 days, and we're going to expect some things, and we're going to have social spots in the raid for people that we don't expect that from. They are social, they are normal members, and they can come in when they like. But then we'll have core raiding spots, slots, and from those dudes we're going to expect what you would expect from a hardcore. And to me, that means, have everything in chat, have your consumables, be on time, be active on Discord, be able to talk on Discord, don't be on the phone, don't be, what's the word?
Brain AFK.
Yeah, brain AFK. So, and, have a flask with you in case you need it. If that's going to be a thing on Classic, we don't know yet, but just the things, just get it. There's a new raid, you just attune yourself without being told 7 times. But then again, there's something, I don't expect all of our DPS to go for rank 14. We personally will go for 14, but I wouldn't expect that of every DPS, obviously, that's silly. But to me, there's something that's gonna be super hardcore. And those are probably guilds like, if you remember back in the day, Nope, maybe, where just a bunch of people were rank 14 and they would expect that. And there were certainly guilds that kicked people if they died in an Oni breath once. There wasn't a discussion, you didn't even like have a talk with anybody. You died there and you flew out the guild because it was, now you'd say it's harsh, but these people don't want to deal with that anymore, right? They kicked them out because to them it was pretty simple. Either you don't know the tactic and you don't care and you didn't look it up, which is a kick, or you didn't pop a greater fire prot, which is a kick. So, that's a little bit too much for me. But so there's going to be super hardcore, and then I'd say, well, whatever you wanna, whatever else you wanna invent, I guess. But yeah, so we're going to be on the hardcore side. If you're interested in that, let us know. EU, English, and yeah, we're still recruiting everything. But now it's about the viewers. What do you think is going to be the majority of players? What are they going to look for? Yeah, what kind of guild? Casual? Do they just want to raid MC or then quit?
I think a lot of people will probably go for the they will go for the semi-casual thing or semi-hardcore thing, right? Mm-hmm. And they will have a blast through Molten Core. Then Blackmoon Lair comes up. They might get a little hitch up on Veil, which is sort of a DPS check and also a retard check for the bomb. But they will do fine, right? Say, this is working really good and we don't have to farm all that much and this is really cool. Mm-hmm. And then they're gonna go into Anchorage.
Oh my god.
And they will wipe on Scaram for hours and hours and hours. And then they beat Scaram and they will have a couple of few easy bosses and they will be like, it was just Scaram being fucking annoying and stupid. And then they will come to the Anubisaths. And the Anubisath, I think, is the new Veil. Like, Veilosars was the guild breaker back in vanilla. I think it's the Anubisaths for Classic. Because they will just, hit this wall. And they will just notice that at this point, like, you can't have someone randomly going AFK. You can't have people who don't know how to go out of the raid with the plague. You just can't have that. And I think at that point, the upper echelon of those guilds will sort of look for better guilds at that point. And the bottom ones will just, can't we just raid Molten Core and Blackmoon Lair again like the good old days? And you'll be stuck there. And the only way to improve is to get your guild to become more hardcore, or you go back to like Molten Core, Blackmoon Lair. Yeah, I think Naxxramas is a bit different. You can probably do the first wing, like Spider Wing, and the first boss. I think you can do that.
I think you can if you have enough good players.
Yeah.
But I think at this point,
I don't think Naxxramas is as unforgiving as AQ is in a lot of ways, especially on the trash. But of course, there are some trash pulls like the double shade of Naxxramas or whatever they're called. Like at that point, and the gargoyles.
It's not as unforgiving. You're right. Like one Shadowbolt volley, just if you don't stack instantly, it's fucking rip. Yeah. It's more. At least the first trash is more forgiving. But I'd say you can probably kill a noob Rakan, for example. You can always kill with a full raid. Yeah. But again, like if people can't, it's coordination. It's quite close to the Anubis Twins trash that you were talking about. It's quite close to it. So. Damn, I also think...
But the difference is that Anubis are boss, right? The Anubis are just trash. And for some reason, people just tune out during trash. You can't do that in AQ. I think AQ is actually the first raid where you really can't tune out. If you are up against the the big Draconids before Chromagus in Black Lair, those hit really hard, and if the tanks are AFK and if the healers are AFK, you can wipe there. But if the DPS are AFK, if one mage or one rogue or whatever is AFK, it doesn't really matter. But on the Anubis sets, if just one person is AFK and he gets the plague, you wipe.
Exactly, yeah, and that's kind of
just simple as that.
Okay, so you think most people are going to be like having a good time, and then in IQ40 they're going to hit a wall. I would definitely agree. I think IQ40 is actually really it's a really tough thing. Really, it's very like later in the dungeon, it's unforgiving and pretty tough for the raid tier that it is later.
Yeah. It's a big step up from Black Lair.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, like you can get who ran down, and then after that, it's it's like a switch.
Yeah,
but it's interesting because so we wanted to make a kind of the topic, which guild should you join, and I mean you should not really like. I think the first big tip that we can give is you should really not because they are cool and you are not. But you shouldn't join a hardcore guild if you know you can't make it. Now, we're just trying to give tips from the experience that we made when people come over, for example, from Legion or BFA, and they think, okay, I'm gonna raid, but in Classic, a couple of things take more time. It's just how it is. And you need to know which consumables stack. And if you know a couple of things and you do your research and you have your time management set up, so okay, I'm gonna go there for half an hour, just like right now, I'm gonna go farm echoes to turn into jujus, which give me 30 strength for 30 minutes. I will do that for half an hour or so, or an hour now while we do this podcast, and then I have my stuff for the week, and then I go farm herbs and make exactly the potions I need that give me the best benefit. But I know this already, so if you're a fresh player and you're trying to be hardcore, they're gonna expect a lot of things, and this really takes time, and it can really also take the fun out of the game for a lot of people. And I think that would be very sad if that happened to somebody, trying to be maybe hardcore, but maybe some people should just approach it a little bit more relaxed for the start. And especially I think in MC, the first phase, MC and Onyxia, you can't really go wrong, right? You should probably just go into a relaxed guild and enjoy the game for the phase 1. You won't miss anything in phase 1. MC only, almost everybody can clear this, and I think you shouldn't take your own fun away trying to be very hardcore, unless you have the time at hand and you want to do it. Of course, then by all means go ahead.
Keep in mind also that not all the loot is added in Molten Core in phase 1. It will be upgraded version, so tier 1 will be slightly less retarded than it is. But a lot of the loot will be added later on. I think phase 2 or 3. I can't really remember. But they confirmed that. So I think things like the trinket, spell power trinket, won't be in there, and some other stuff.
Yeah. Right, and so yeah, there's going to be a lot of guilds out there, you know, from reaching from casual to something else, and I'm actually I'm really surprised, and that's the second thing that I want to talk about guild-wise. How many guilds are going to be there on the server? How many people are going to be on the server? I think that's still something that we didn't really get any good estimation value on, you know, estimated value, and any numbers, any ideas, because that's going to be interesting for guilds. And because right now, or on these servers, all of the players were always on one big world server, essentially. So if you behaved like a dick in a guild, you just join another. It didn't really matter all that much, unless you pulled that shit in 4 guilds, obviously. But then you were, then you were really extremely stupid, and no wonder. But so that's going to be interesting how many guilds are going to be there in total, how many players are going to be there.
I kind of hope that they at least up the caps just a bit from vanilla. I think 4 or 5k is a really good spot to be in for server population. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really I think it's an interesting experience when there's 10, 11, 12, 13k people online, because it's like a sea of people, but it also has this effect of making you quite anonymous. Like you said, like if you fuck up and there's 13k online means that there's 200k people playing on that server.
Yeah, 100k at least.
Yeah. So you will be like just a drop in the ocean. Right. So that's not good. That's not what vanilla is. So people need to be recognizable. You need to know these guys, these guilds, these names. And I think like 4 or 5k is a pretty good value for that.
I would agree. I think the cool thing is that you knew the people on your community server, right? I think that was cool back in the day. You knew other guilds, you would team up with them for world bosses or so, and you know, a lot of things you could do with that. And I think if it's too big, it would definitely create problems. But I don't think it's gonna be so big, so it's gonna be interesting. You really need to find the guild that rates on your schedule too. You know, and loot systems, we talked about that. Actually, we did that on the German podcast, I believe, only. So we can scratch the surface a little bit. You know, there's going to be DKP guilds. I think actually a lot of people will just join the good old DKP guild, because it also has like a nostalgia value to it.
It does, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like most guilds used it back in the day. So there's, I think the most common ones are Loot Council and DKP. And
EPGP or whatever it's called is also quite common.
What is that?
It's sort of like DKP, but you sort of share the points instead. So I think it's like each boss has a value, and if you kill that boss, the raid group gets that value split among them. So if you kill Ragnaros and it's worth 1,000 points or whatever, and you kill that, and you share 1,000 points between 40 people, and those points are like EGP or like DKP. And then when you get an item, there's something special about getting the item as well. I can't remember.
I remember one other system. So Loot Council, DKP, and I think kind of a round robin thing. So if you're getting an item, it's set, your whole points are set to 0 or something. Something like that. Yeah. I would have to look it up. It was pretty interesting actually, because you were man, what was it? Ernl had it told us about it. You were gathering DKP, and then it's kind of DKP, and when you spend the DKP, that amount of DKP spent, so dragon kill points, are distributed by everybody in the raid, so that he spends something, others get it, so that you can't really, pool up, and then at some point people are gonna have, if you're for a long time in the guild, you're gonna have a lot of DKP, and newcomers, basically get shit on because, well, good luck, everybody else pooled up their DKP. Because if somebody then actually spends it, all the new dudes get a huge, if he spends a lot of DKP on an item, all the new dudes get a lot of DKP onto their plate, and he drops quite low or to 0. Yeah. Which is a cool system. And then they spend and it gets distributed, and it always, always the people profit that are in the raid at the time that the items spend. So raiding high tier content usually has a great effect. That's one of the DKP systems I actually would like. Where you can't just pool all your DKP forever and then buy your items and keep other newcomers low, really. Yeah.
And there should also be special points for progress raids, because those are more expensive. And that. And I also, I think it was Nihilum back in Vanilla who had special points for progress raids. And
which is a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, and if you didn't get into the progress raid, you farmed consumables for the progress raids.
For the progress raids, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good thing too.
You also got those points.
I mean, in our loot council system, it's usually if you are on standby, and usually your class leader sees that and sees that you are online and ready to come in. That's usually good enough for us. Just being ready in case somebody has to drop out, the person can come in, kind of showing the willingness to raid. It's kind of the same. So yeah, there's going to be, I think the big ones are going to be DKP and Loot Council. So yeah, let us know what you prefer, because I know there's a lot of people that actually prefer DKP. 100%.
It's simple.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, it's simple, and usually most DKP systems and guilds will still have somewhat of loot rules attached to them, so that sorry hunters, but a hunter can't get the Ashkandi before the main spec something. Usually most of the DKP systems will work like that, or a certain item will go to tanks first because they need to be geared quick. As soon as they're geared, it's open for the others. So there's actually some really cool systems of DKP. You raid, you get a currency for it, and then you can spend it on whatever you like, not depending on some sort of loot council. So I think also, and the nostalgia value will come on top of that. That was the biggest loot loot system out there back in the day.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, let us know what you prefer, because we're sticking to the Loot Council, which is a pretty detailed version of it, and I know that the Loot Council can sound pretty shitty to a lot of people. But again, it really depends on your approach. Some people just want to not have anything to do with their guild, really, and then get into the raid, and then they want a reward because they were in the raid. We don't roll with that at all. And gear will, in our guild, gear will come to the person that shows up and shows effort and is part of the community easily. But it's not anything some people want to play like. Some people are more of the solo player type, and they don't really want to, participate in a lot of things, hang out in Discord, be always completely prepared for raids, and be in every raid. And there are different players to everything in every game.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe a good time to go into the roles that you could roll. I mean, we're 30 days until the release, so it might make sense to talk about the roles again, because I think people now make their decision on what to play. And maybe we can give a couple of tips. So you're playing DPS. This is actually quite fitting. So what are the pros and cons? I mean, when we're talking about roles, we're talking about healer, DPS, or tank. Should be clear.
Yeah.
And I usually give out a tip or a couple of tips for people that don't have much time, because let's face it, it's 15 years later now, and a lot of people have a lot of obligations they need to attend to, and they need to take care of, real life stuff, kids, wife, family, work, and they can't just sock it for 12 hours a day. And we have tips for that. But every role has its pros and cons. So what's the pros of a DPSer?
Well, the
would you say?
Obvious pro is that you do a lot of damage, which means outside of raids, you can actually do stuff on your own. While on a healer, or I'm not sure about tanks, but healer at least, like your DPS is so bad that you pretty much have to team up with someone to do anything outside of the raiding. And that is an annoying thing, to say the least. Some people get around this, like if you're a priest, you can probably solo the DM stuff, like you kill the lashers with the Holy Nova. Mm-hmm. That works. But you can't really, grind anything outside in the world. That's a big problem.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, time-wise, it's usually good to be DPS if you have a lot of time on your hands, I'd say.
Yeah.
Or a decent amount of time on your hands.
I would also say your consumable use is fairly regular, because you don't really use mana pots and all that so much. So you have your set consumables.
You're a warlock,
if
though.
You're a warlock.
That's
yeah,
why.
so I'm a warlock. I'll use, Greater Arcane Potion, Elixir of Greater Shadow Power, Shadow Power, and the oils, and then maybe a flask. That's the DPS consumables. And then, of course, there's some other stuff like, Greater Fire Protection Potion or whatever. But those are the main things that you will use. But a healer will use, Mage Blood Potion, the food buff, but they will also use mana potions. And, just, every encounter is different. If you're wiping on Nefarian, for instance, and you usually mana pot on Nefarian, you might maybe bring mana pots for 1 or 2 attempts, and then suddenly, oh shit, for some reason we're wiping on this guy. We need to pop a lot of mana potions. That's suddenly a huge increase in expense, and runes and shit. So it's a bit irregular. You have to sort of you can't really plan your consumable use in the same way as a healer. I think
it's interesting that you say that, because I was gonna say it's the other way around. As a DPS, usually DPS, the role of the DPS is quite competitive by nature, right? You're dealing damage, and you have a meter. There's no over damage, like over healing. If you don't do damage, nobody's still, technically not directly, anybody's dying. So it's all about the value, and the more damage, the better. And then there's the penis meter, really.
Oh, healers are very competitive as well.
Yeah, sure, but like usually their mindset is to help and heal, right? And not to be number one.
I think so.
Usually, like just from a basic thing standpoint. So I always found that when I was healing or a healer, the consumables were pretty simple and really easy to get. So you have mana pots, you have dark runes, so you run Skulloments for dark runes. If you want, that's already, for a hardcore guild you have to have it. For a normal guild you don't really. So, but you get big mana potions which drop from mobs. They're easy to make, they're not that expensive. You can get the one below that, the tier below, which is already still pretty good, so it's really cheap. A good alternative. So that's like mana pots. Then you need your oils and your buff food. And with that you're already pretty set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course you can get mage blood for AQ40 and Nax, of course. But technically you're set with that. You're set with mana pots, oils, and buff food. I think everybody would agree that's pretty decent. If you have a healer that always brings these 3 things, there's not really a lot you could, be salty about. So
yeah, I think consumable expenses are definitely higher on DPS, but the use is more inconsistent on healers. Like you can't really plan it so well, but it will definitely be cheaper, I think. Also, Wisdom Flask usually is cheaper than the other two.
Oh yeah,
if you're running that.
True.
But I just find myself many times like I plan for having this amount of mana pots, and sometimes it's just nowhere near enough, and you have to leave the raid and get more. Luckily though, as a healer, you usually have a lot of inventory.
Yeah, you have a lot of inventory space because you're not carrying around 17 sets. So
yes, and 20 soul shards.
Yeah. So what I was looking for is, or heading towards with this question was, usually I'd say DPS is something that requires more time put into. While, I mean, in all aspects of the game, consumables is one thing, right? But obviously you have the gearing process. So when you're a fresh 60, right, and you're running dungeons, I think if you ask any rogue how many rogues, how many group invites he gets instantly, or how easy it is, then they would all tell you, shit man, this is the worst.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, these guys are either all Chinese or bots. They don't understand how this grind works. Fuck me. They decline.
Always rest,
Yeah, need rogue, right? That's a meme at this point already. Need rogue? No, nobody needs a rogue, because there's 1,000 gazillion out there, and most of them are just, pretty much cunts, and that's it.
Fits their role.
Whereas if you're a healer, fits the class. If you're a healer, there's only one healer in a 5-man group, while there's 3 DPS and 1 5-man group. So, if you're after the Baron Cloak, for example, it's probably the worst item to farm as a DPS, because there's 3 DPS, they all want that item, and the run takes quite long, and one person is gonna get it if it drops. And as a healer, if the rope drops, that's good. You're set. That's it. And
pretty much so.
You always get an invite as healer, right? It's just how the group composition works. It's just how the game works. Same for tank. Usually you gear up as a tank quite quickly.
Yeah.
So the idea, or what we're trying to give as a tip here, is if you are one of the people that can't spend a lot of time on the game, you should consider just go in healer or tank. Although I would say that if you are a person with not so much time on your hands, you shouldn't be a tank, because the people just want to have tanks in their groups that are there. If you're rolling a tank, you need to be there to support your guild. You can't just say fuck off and say, yeah, well, I can't today, because they're counting on you. Tank is such a you get all the stuff really quickly, and it's very quick to gear, and you don't really need to do much for it other than being a good tank. But if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, don't be a tank, because people will count on you being there, and if you're not there as a tank, there's no use for them. So
yeah, especially the main tank.
The main tank is the worst. Yeah, you gotta be there almost 98% raid attendance if you want to be a main tank. That's just how it works, sadly.
I see some funny posts on Reddit and the classic WoW subreddit a couple of times when people are like, oh, I only play like 10 hours a week, can I be a main tank? I'm like, no, you can't. It just doesn't work. You can maybe be off tank, but even then, like, you want the same tank setup. You want the same 3 or 4 people tanking every raid, if possible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's how you do it, and you can't do that if you have the kids over sometimes or whatever. Like if you're working late, it just doesn't work. At that point, you should probably just go DPS or healer instead.
Yeah, and I always give give out if you can make it to the raid days. Usually, and the raid times aren't a problem for you, but you can't spend a lot of time outside of that. You know, you can sometimes farm some stuff, you can help sometimes with the dungeon or so. Just be a healer, right? And if you want to max that out, just be a dwarf priest. You will always have a spot. You will always be you know, well received, and you will always be you know, people just like to have you around, and you're a healer, you gear up quick, and if you can make it for the raid days, people are going to be very thankful to have you in their group. So I always recommend being a healer and just a cool guy to have around, really.
I think I want to expand on the whole grinding thing with healers and DPS. It's not the speed of grinding that is different. It's just that you can't really do it alone. So it's not like grinding on a healer will net you less gold per hour than a DPS just because you don't do much damage. You just have to do it with someone else. If you grind the chimeras or if you do scholar runs or whatever, you have to do it together with someone else, which to some people is a problem. Because some people just want to log on and do their own thing. They don't necessarily want to be in a group with someone all the time. And that can be a problem as a healer. But as I said, like if you're a priest at least, you can do the DM thing. You can farm the lashers, it's decent gold. But for paladins and especially druids, I think, because they have even problems finding groups of 5-mans because they can't resurrect, but which is stupid. But stupid. They are really good too. So take the druids, guys. Come on, be nice. Yeah. I know they don't have a res in 5-mans, but they are really good healers. We need some more love for the druid class. Yeah.
So yeah, our recommendation is be a healer if you don't have a lot of time to spend. If you want to be, useful and be there and gear up quick and these kind of things.
I'd also say a healer is has a lot of higher skill ceiling in raids than DPS.
Yeah.
Obviously, tank way up top, but healers,
true. Of course, it's a bit harder.
Yeah, I think healing is. I mean, it's also because it's the whole whack-a-mole thing, right? Because there's only healing to do when people are getting hit, right? So you have to sort of predict when people are getting hit, when there's a lot of damage incoming, and then load up your heals and your cooldowns to do that. While on DPS, it's, in vanilla, it's pretty much just unleash and watch the
unleash and find out a rotation that works for you.
Yeah. And usually that rotation is hammering one.
Hammering one. Shitterbolt. Yeah.
Exactly.
Agreed. So yeah, choose your role wisely. Just know that as a tank you need to be there. You have to have a big attendance number right there. And as a healer you're always useful. The gearing process is quite quick. And you don't need a bunch of consumables to be useful, to be at a very good efficiency rate. DPS can be a lot of fun, and maybe warlocks don't need as many consumables, but again, you're gonna get dragged into this kind of a thing where you always want to be better, right? Yeah. And you always want to be you want to put out more damage, obviously, and then you start farming more consumes, and you that will burn you out because you're spending more time on the game than you can actually afford. And so, just do yourself a favor and pick the right role, I'd say. Yeah. And to be honest, sometimes if you want to, sometimes leveling a second 60 once is the better choice, because what alts can do for you in vanilla is just crazy. You can just level an alt and have a gathering profession. That's what I would always recommend to everybody. And you can farm your own herbs and you don't waste money at all anymore. You can make a lot of money, and then you make your own potions and stuff. And you just spend 2 hours a week farming some herbs and you should be kind of good to go. So yeah, a couple of tips there. Yeah. So yeah, do you have any more tips for people? I mean, we got 1 month until the release. We are, I don't know, for me it's quite awesome. I can't wait. That week is completely off for me, and we're just gonna fucking poop sock it up. gonna rank 14 when it comes out. That's far in the future, but yeah, we'll see.
An interesting thing about DPS is that you can find a lot of weird ways of increasing your DPS, and doing this this thing where you sort of find all sorts of quirky ways of increasing your damage a bit well, for some people it's really interesting, but for some other people it will just be really annoying. Like, why do I have to eat chili or whatever as a rogue to top DPS? I mean, you don't have to, but you know, it's a thing. Like, you increase your DPS that way. But for healers, there's not really anything you can do like that. I'd also say healing, the role of healer has a lot more interesting trinkets to use, like the Solgora class trinkets, for instance. That completely changes the way you play as a healer, and the sets you get also changes the way you heal. So it changes a lot, and that's really interesting, I think.
So you kind of have more options trinket-wise as well, right?
Yeah, as a DPS, you pretty much only have, like, what is there for a warlock in raiding? Like 4 trinkets, I think. It's pretty sad, actually.
Yeah, it's a yeah, I would also agree. I mean, usually as a DPS you have like these 1 or 2 trinkets that you go for, really.
And everybody goes for it. Another thing is that the whole whack-a-mole thing, which I find really annoying, I hate this, is that, especially as a priest, if there's not a lot of damage, you will try and snipe people's heals. And as a priest, that is really bad, because your flash heal is very mana inefficient. And you can't use your heal, your normal heal, because it's a 2.5 second cast time. And by the time it's gone through, you know, the paladins have already topped that guy off. So you just get overheal. And that is something I hate with a fire passion. Yeah, the sniping, and that's why
I've heard so many people complain about that.
Yeah.
I've been a pally, and all I can say is that's just how they heal.
Yeah, I mean, pallies,
it's not like they're sitting there, I'm gonna snipe everybody tonight. You know, they have small, quick heals, and that's their most efficient heal, and that's why they.
Yeah. I wonder how it is for Horde though, because they don't have paladins.
Oh, they have shamans though.
Shamans, yeah, but they're still.
I must say, I tried
chain heal, right?
Yeah, chain heal, and I must say I did the thing on the Resto Druid and healed that in raids, and it's really tough to grasp the idea of a Resto Druid, how to heal with it, because everybody else just, you know, has a quick heal or, you know, flashes up, and if you're not looking to be a Moonglow Druid, you don't really have that, right? So a lot of people play or start playing Resto Druid with the idea that it's you're kind of like a hotter for the raid. You start, you know, you run around, toss out these strong hots, and then the raid ticks up. But that's not how it works, because if there's a person that takes damage and you put your hots on, then a pally snipes to, or, you know, flashes to pass over it, and yeah, then that's it. That's that.
Yeah.
You know, and then your hots go into the overhealing, and so I don't know. It's different. It's a really good main tank healer, for example, right? But what it is not is really a raid healer, unless you're a Moonglow or the regrowth spec. Then you're pretty much anything. But it's very different from other classes, even from priest, I found.
Yeah, definitely.
It was. It's interesting. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a more advanced healer, try Druid, because there you will find a lot of. It's hard to master, right?
The skill ceiling is definitely up top.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say it's easy to learn, hard to master, because the Druid healing is it's really, if you haven't played it and you're just trying to throw hots, that's not gonna work at all. So
No.
I think that's a lot. Can be quite frustrating.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But as a DPS, of course, you always can cast something, right? The
DPS is just
thing
different.
is, of course, a thing, right? Like sometimes you just
threat,
have to wait for your threat to go down. But
Right.
other than that, like you don't have to sort of, intently stare at your raid bars and try and find people to heal and do it quickly enough, wasting mana, using mana potions to keep up with the sniping, just so you can be on top of the healing meters. I hate that.
Right.
That's why I really love AQ and Nax onwards, because there's enough raid damage that you can use your proper heals.
Yeah.
You don't have to
definitely.
flash all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's also the thing. Just because MC isn't gonna work for you in that class, just wait a little bit, because it might change. MC is so easy that there's nothing really happening raid damage-wise, or even DPS, there's nothing really you need to do, or your class doesn't really have a task to do other than, press 1. So, don't get discouraged by that, right? If an MC it's still a little bit boring. But yeah, I think it's long enough. I think it's good enough. I think the points came across. Role-wise, guild-wise, all these decisions that you have to make if you're gonna be Alliance or Horde. But I think that choice, really, there's no better or worse. That's absolutely only preference. So yeah, I don't know. I'll switch this. So yeah, pretty much the choice of Horde or Alliance is only preference, and you should always play what you prefer or where your friends are going. I mean, everybody knows that Alliance is the master race, right?
Yeah,
everybody knows it. But we'll decide that on the battlegrounds of Azeroth.
Yes.
Oh, PvP! PvP, boys. Double torrent stun. Here comes the fear. Here comes the fear. And the Alliance prevails once again.
Oh, yes.
Silly BM hunters. I'm banishing this gnome. Yeah, so I think we can wrap it up for this episode and do the next one pretty soon. 30 days. Anything else that comes to your mind 30 days before official? Everybody should go outside, enjoy the sun, because you're not going to see it very much.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that was something I said, like, when they first announced the date. Like, thank God for that, because if they announced that the release would be like in the middle of June or July, like, okay, so that's my entire summer vacation spent in front of the computer instead of, going out. So, but on the other hand, they moved the schedule for my university back. So I actually start school, I think 2 or 3 days or whatever before, like the Friday before the launch is my first day at university. So I actually have to go to university during launch.
Okay, but that's not too bad. I mean, that's not too bad.
Well, I don't have to, but
yeah, exactly. First of all, you don't have to. It's university, right? I've been there too. It's not the most hard time of your life, I'd say.
No, it's not.
Good. Then, oh yeah, for everybody that doesn't know it, was it the 13th or 14th of August where you can save your names? I think it was 13th.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
August
around 13.
There. Yeah. I think it was that, and you can save your names, and that's also gonna be the day where we're gonna announce the server we're actually going for, and we actually have some Americans coming with us, so that's interesting. I'm gonna see. That
is pretty interesting, yeah.
Can you though? Can you just, because I know for retail you can't just switch to American servers. I don't know how that works. Isn't there like a region lock?
You have to buy new accounts.
Buy an American account then, yeah.
But you don't need to buy WoW at all to play Classic. You just need to subscribe.
True. But it's interesting. Do you have to buy an American version to get out of the region lock? Or is it always going to be there, or is it not going to be there at all?
Yeah, I think you have to make an account on the US version of WoW. But if you want to, level up and so on, you have to make a new account there. So your characters are not shared in the same way like Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm or StarCraft is shared across the regions.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll see. Anyway, 1 month, guys. Get hyped. So we're gonna release another one about the ranking system, how we're gonna, approach it, how it works, what you have to get ready for, and I think we're gonna have another episode of maybe I actually thought making some class specials as well, like for the German channel. It had a really good, was received pretty well, and people enjoyed it, talking about the classes. More, but push it out in the near future, so everybody can get like a rough idea about, okay, this is the advantage of this class, and keep in mind that you're not gonna be, you can't be 5 Shadow Priests in a raid and shit like that. Things you would normally maybe not think about so much.
That would be interesting, yeah, because there are a lot of people who see this class and they think, oh, that's really cool, but they don't know all these intricate things about it.
Yeah, you think you can be like a couple of Shadow Priests, but the problem is with the 16 debuff slot limit, you have the problem that only one of you will have a slot for Shadow Word Pain.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a problem, obviously, right? Because, the other guy can't use it, and if you don't have the Shadow Word Pain on, that's a big problem for your DPS. Yeah. Anyway, any closing thoughts for this episode 10? Otherwise, I would go and unpack and unbox my my thing here now, and my new ultra wide screen, and put in my fans, and then we're gonna wait for the rest of the stuff to arrive in the coming days.
I'm gonna go put myself into the freezer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite hot here, so let's hope it cools down for release. I mean, the best situation would be it just cools down on end of August already to where it's not really worth going outside anymore.
Yeah.
It would be the best.
Pray for a rainy September.
Rainy September, yeah. With shitty weather where you can look outside and just, sit inside and not have a, feel bad that you're not going outside so much. It's raining anyway, so. Okay, good. Then I would say we wrap it up here. Been good. And I hope you could take something with or out of this episode for your guild choice. Take something out for your role choice. Maybe you were thinking about, I really want to be a rogue, but you can't really play all that much. Then I would definitely not recommend that. So we're going to talk about the ranking system, the classes in the next episodes. So make sure or consider a subscription, right? If you liked it. And also the thumbs up help quite a bit. And there's going to be a lot of classic content here on this channel. If you're German, I also have a German channel. Yada yada. Most people know that already. And I'm streaming on Twitch. Twitch.tv/MowsenLel. And that's basically it. Anything else you wanna say to? Why don't you stream, by the way?
Oh, I probably will. I won't stream the priest though. I don't think. But when I do Warlock, I will probably stream.
Good.
The problem with streaming for me has always been that I talk a lot, or whisper a lot with people when I read, and I'm using Vim, so it pops up. Everybody can see what I write, so I sort of have to find a way around that.
Oh,
but,
use a different add-on then.
Yeah, but then I miss what people type. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I'll find a way around it.
Right. All right, guys. Then thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and check out the stream if you enjoyed it. We have a big community there already. We're fucking ready to go for Classic, and yeah, I hope you guys are as hyped as we are, because it's going to be glorious. Have a wonderful day, and don't melt in the heat, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.